So this video today is about posture and alignment. Now, I've been talking a lot about posture and alignment, and opinions kind of differ a little bit. I think there's no such thing as the perfect posture, right? Because we all different, okay? We have different bone structures. Some of us have not bone-wise wide hips, some have narrow hips, some are a little bit wider up here or not, so the lumbar curve, the spinal curves are not exactly the same with everyone either. So I personally think that no, there is no such thing as the perfect posture, that one size fits all kind of posture thing, right? But there is such a thing as alignment, and it's very important because your alignment, if you are aligned properly, you are creating that space, right, for your breath to actually be able to expand on your inhale and contract on your exhale. So if you are not creating that space, okay, let's say if you kind of either crunching that space, okay, or you kind of shifting that space into kind of different alignment, you are restricting the space, or you are kind of shifting the mechanics, right? So your breath does not have free passage, so to speak, all the way down to your pelvic floor and then all the way up, and cannot contract everything as it needs to be. So therefore, I like to use the word alignment instead of posture because it's a little bit more individual, right? And so there's just a few pointers, a few important things that you want to take note of or be aware of when it comes to how you align your body, why you stand, why you sit, why you move, okay? And I want to talk about this today. So, yes, let us start. Okay, first of all, let's just start with your pelvis, okay? So, your pelvis wants to be neutral. What do I mean by that? Okay, when I turn around like this, you might see that I'm going to just come a little bit closer, okay? So you might not see my face, but you will see better what I mean. So, we all know we have, someone sticking their butt out. This would be an anterior pelvic tilt, okay? And then we have the opposite of tucking it under. So this would be a posterior tilt, okay? Just to get the vocabulary out of the way. So now, how do you know which is which? Because what you want is you want something in between the two, okay? So you don't want to be like this, and you don't want to be like this either, okay? So you want to be neutral. Because when you're neutral, you are grounded, which means like you have a nice connection with your feet, okay, with the ground, but at the same time, your heart is lifting up, okay? It's like, this sounds very spiritual because in fact it is. Your body is very much connected to the spiritual. You can't separate the two. Meaning you want to be connected to the earth and to the heaven at the same time. Maybe that makes sense to you, okay, if you are a little more spiritual. So your heart wants to be lifted at all times, your chest wants to be lifted to create that space, okay? To not be like closed up, to be open. Your heart wants to be open. But at the same time, you don't want to lose, open up and lose that connection to the earth. You want to stay grounded. So if you're pulling up and down kind of at the same time, you're lengthening everything up, okay? And you're staying lifted with your heart space, and you're staying grounded in your feet, okay, in your pelvic floor. So, the good way you can check that is if you take your hands, right, and you form like a triangle, and put it right here on your pelvis, okay, right here, just like that. And then you can kind of look down a little bit and see what it looks like. Now, when I turn around, okay, if you watch my hands, my fingers, the fingers that are here on my pubic bone, and this part of my hand, the palm of my hand is up here, right? So this wants to be more or less level, okay? There's no such thing as perfect, but this needs to be pretty level. So watch my hands when I go into an anterior pelvic tilt, meaning I stick my butt up. Do you see how my fingers are now not level with the palms of my hand anymore? My fingers are like this, okay? Do you see that? Instead of like this, they turned into this, okay? Now, when I do the opposite, I go in a posterior pelvic tilt, and I tuck my butt under and clench my butt cheeks and all kinds of stuff, tension that comes with it. So I go like this. Do you see what happened to my fingers? My fingers now are in front of the palms of my hand. See? So they did something like this, okay? Now, if I kind of lift up my chest, okay, and at the same time stay grounded in my feet, do you see how my hands are pretty much level? This is a neutral pelvis, and this is what you want. You want to keep that when you're walking, okay? You want to even keep that when you sit down, okay? So, or when you're sitting somewhere and you're sitting up, your neutral pelvis is extremely important. Like, okay, so when we move around, of course we kind of move around and then it changes a little bit, but what I'm saying is in general, okay, this needs to be in a neutral position. So if you suffer from a lot of low back pain, for example, there's a good chance that your pelvis is not neutral, but kind of more like in an interior. It doesn't even have to be, this is exaggerated, okay? But if I just go a little bit like this, do you see that a little bit? That doesn't really look like much, okay? But this can put a lot of stress on my low back because I went out of neutral, okay? So this is a very important pointer when it comes to posture. So how do you know? Well, you can check it, okay? You can check it in all positions, laying down, sitting up, standing up, okay? And then what I want you to notice is if you feel right here, okay, is your hip, we don't call this the hip bone, right? It's not really the hip bone, but let's call it the hip bone. You have these two bones that kind of protrude right here, okay? And you want to find those bones, okay? Now, and then you want to find your rib cage and just trace it over. And then you see your ribs, kind of that low point where the ribs are coming down right here, right? Okay, right here. So this point, your hip bone and your ribs up here, they want to be aligned, okay? So if you're in a neutral pelvis, this and this will align, okay? So more or less, as I said, there's no such thing as perfect and perfect all the time, right? But you want to align this. So if I, for example, you know, there's this tip when you kind of hunch over a lot. You see what just happened? If I hunch over, okay, I'm crunching this space. Do you see that? So here's my hip bone, here's it. You see how this space just got less, okay? Do you see that? So this is what I mean by alignment, okay? You want to keep that distance wants to stay when you move, when you bend over, okay? When you squat down, when you sit down, when you walk. You want to keep that length. You never want to keep that, hold that crunched up like this, okay? So when you're hunching your shoulders down, okay, you can see how this space kind of gets lost, gets less, okay? And also my ribs just moved back and now they're behind, okay? They're not aligned anymore. Now there's this tip, but I just puff your chest out, right? Stick your chest out. So see what happens when I just stick my chest out, okay, and force it like this. Do you see what just happened? The opposite, okay? Now my ribs are in front of my hip bone. So I want you to think, and these are just, oftentimes I'm exaggerating so you can see better. So oftentimes it's just these little tiny in front of or behind or whatever that almost seems like insignificant, but if you are suffering from leaks, from prolapse, from all kinds of pelvic symptoms, or even, you know, this postnatal, like one of your legs is hurting like crazy so you can't even walk, and low back pain or neck pain, all these chronic kind of conditions, they can very well stem from a tiny little thing where you're out of alignment all the time, and you fix that, you fix your pain, right, or your symptoms. So this might well be the case, and that's why I'm trying to explain this in this video, and this video is going to be a little bit longer because it is extremely important that you understand how to look at yourself and see where you're out of alignment, okay? So as I said, I'm exaggerating. Sometimes it's very subtle, and a little tiny little bit of adjustment is enough, okay, to get you back in alignment. So you need to watch yourself in front of a mirror and whatnot. So now where are we at? Okay, we were at sticking your chest out. Okay, so let's say I'm going to put my hands right here. You see the alignment. I reached that alignment from, for example, my go-to posture used to be that, and this tucking under the posterior pelvic tip, right? So what I had to learn is stick my butt out a little bit and lift my chest, but not lift my chest like this, okay? This is not lifting, this is sticking out, but lifting. And this is a process, it takes time because it's just a tiny little movement. And I ended up, for example, then in a anterior pelvic tilt, right? And exaggerated, so I had to correct that again and come back to that neutral. So it's a little bit of a back and forth, and if that happens to you, don't worry about it. It's perfectly normal. You just play, you have to play around. It's like a game. You play around with it until it fits in place, and one day you will be in your alignment and you'll be like, this is what it feels like. And you will just know that that's what it is for you, okay? Now, again, you don't ever want to lose this, okay? Now, if I stick my chest out, my ribs go in front of my hip bone, okay? So, let's say you are a rounded shoulder person, and you stick your chest out, do it now with me, and you see that, okay? You see how you went out of alignment the opposite way. Now, think about it. If you think about letting your tailbone flow into the earth a little bit, and while you stay lifted and nice and open right here, just pull your chest back in a little bit until you can see here. You can also take a Kaukayal and mark it here, right? And then do that with just like a few clothes on so you can see your markers, and that works well too. So, okay, now again, I'm gonna come a little closer so you can see my core because it's very important. Now, let's say I'm a rounded person. Somebody tells me, stick your chest out. I'm gonna stick it out, and this is what happens. Okay, so I'm out of alignment again, but the opposite. You see, this is out of alignment, and now I'm trying to correct it. I overcorrect, I'm in a wrong alignment too, so what I want to find is the in-between, okay? The in-between would be when here is my hip bone, okay? Here is my ribs, okay? I want to get those ribs stacked exactly over over those hip bones. So they need to move back, right? Okay. So if I just, and you also see I'm not in a neutral pelvis either right now, see? Which means I'm not in a neutral pelvis. I can correct that by just letting my tailbone flow into the ground a little bit more, okay? Just a little bit. It's not much. It's just a tiny little movement. And then while I stay nice and lifted, because you do want, you know, what happened from here to here, what happened, what was right is that I created that length and that space. So this is correct, and I want to keep that. However, it needs to be stacked on top of each other, okay, if that makes sense. So the problem in the correction is that yes, I created space and length, but I have also created a pelvis that is not neutral, okay? Which means I can just adjust that by getting my pelvis back into neutral, and now you see it's much better, but I'm still a little bit not aligned up here. So if I know by keeping the length, so now this is very important that when you adjust that you don't crunch, okay, but you move this back a little bit, and what happens is you will feel a certain tension that all of a sudden you created right here. So, and now if you feel your abs down here, you can feel it's not like hard, but you can feel a certain tension that's almost kind of on the inside, and that is your inner core that just fired because you put your body into alignment. Because when you were like this, your inner core, there's no way, if you feel the difference, go into this, okay, or go into this, and you will feel like certain maybe even a certain heaviness, but you will just feel nothing, like it's like nothing, okay? The moment you go into alignment, you will feel a very, very slight tension building up right here. Not a tension as in you're doing crunches or ab workout, but a really slight tension. So pay attention to that. You want to keep that feeling, and you want to keep your body in alignment like that. And then this is what brings us to the next point, which is breathing. Okay, so when you're in this alignment, this allows your chest to expand. So if you had problems, you know, the last lesson was taught you, we were doing some breathing exercises to help you expand your chest, right? And your ribs. So if you're still having problems with that, play around with your position. Maybe take your sideline breathing into standing, into sitting, but keep in mind those points of alignment where you want to align yourself, okay, in your posture. So, and usually it's like if you get these 2 points aligned, so if you see that my head is forward head posture, this is never good, right? But the moment, just watch it, the moment I align, I'm not doing anything to my neck. The moment I align, my neck is automatically coming back up. So what I have personally noticed, if you get these 2 points to be stacked on top of each other and keeping that space, that length, if you manage to do that, everything else will fall in place. And that's what I'm saying. If you do that and then you try the breathing again, put your hands right here and breathe. Can you feel now how you have space, how you have created that inner space, that hot space that allows you to expand, okay, all around. So now once you can do that, I want you to do, try this in your home. You can walk around in your house and, nobody's going to look at you crazy. Then just put your hands right here and start walking. Walk and keep that alignment, okay? Keep it. And walk and then breathe. And with each breath, while you walk, expand. Make it a point that you want to expand your ribs, okay? Like you did in the sideline breathing, okay? So we want to keep that. And then breathe in your nose. You can breathe out your mouth or your nose, however feels comfortable. But you're not exercising, you're just walking, okay? So I'm going to breathe through my nose. So practice that. Walk back and forth in your room and just walk and try and keep that length. Keep your chest up, okay? Keep your tailbone flowing into the ground, and with each inhale, make it a point that while you're walking, you can expand it so you feel it. And this is not an easy thing to do, ladies. It might feel impossible. That is why it's a little bit easier when you put your hands right here and you can feel it, right? So that's what I'm saying, you can practice it at home, because when you walk outside like this, right, people might look at you crazy. But if you just get that feeling, and you will feel all of a sudden what you will feel when you do this right, okay? And walk in that alignment and with that breathing and that chest expansion by walking, you will feel lighter. You will feel like, for example, you will feel like, oh, I could walk like this for hours all day, and that is literally the truth. Because if you are aligned in your body, your muscles are working, and the mechanics are just working. It's like a machine. It just goes and goes and goes. But you change an angle or something like that, and everything goes wrong. You have all kinds of stuff flying around, and this thing breaks down, right? So if you think of your body like a machine in that way, if it functions, if angles are right and alignment is right, you will have much more energy, is what I'm trying to say, because you are not spending excessive energy. You're just spending the exact amount of energy that you need for, let's say in this case, walking, okay? So your body is not going to tire, okay? Your body is just going to work like it is supposed to work. So I want you to try this, okay? And I'm always happy to hear feedback or anything, so you can email me under brilliantstrongmamas@gmail.com, or join my Facebook group Strong Mamas, and you can post there, or you can try and contact me there. So as many ways to contact me. So I would really love to hear from you. What is your experience? How did you feel that? Did it work for you? Did it not work for you? What did not work for you? Why did it not work? Because, you know, we all process information differently, and sometimes just saying something in a little different way is going to give you the aha moment. But do try this for assignment, not just for the today, okay, but for the rest of your life, I'm sorry, is to whenever you walk, okay, whenever you walk, search for this feel, that the feel of length between your chest, okay, and your pelvis, and your tailbone down, your chest up, your alignment, your breathing going nice and out. Every time you walk, not when you exercise, I'm not talking about exercise, jogging, running, whatever, I'm talking about the normal walking. Look for that feel, look for that little bit of tension that you can feel here, okay, that makes you kind of get that spring in your step almost, okay? Look for that and search for it. And you feel like whenever, you know, it's not going to be like that, you know, all the time in the beginning. In the beginning, you have to have awareness, you have to think about it. So it is actually enough if every now and then you just stop and you feel, and you're like, do I feel this tension? Am I aligned? What is my chest doing? What are my ribs doing? How am I breathing? Did I hold my breath right then? You know, every now and then during your day, you just stop for a few seconds, you think about it, and that's all you need to do in the beginning, because your brain will start to create those connections, you know, with your pelvis, with your alignment, with your whatnot. And then you will see that the more you think about it, the more you kind of just stop, align yourself real quick, even if it lasts for only a minute, that's okay. If you just do it throughout your day, one day will be the day where it's like, okay, now you're in alignment, now you're moving much better, and you will feel it, okay? Pain will get less, symptoms will get less, you will have more energy, you will just, you know, feel like yourself again. So that's it for this video. I know this was a little bit a long one, but these alignment points are just very important because they're the foundation of everything, okay? If you don't get this right, then all the exercise you do, everything you do is going to, you know, not serve you much, because in your daily life you lose your alignment, and then, you know, so what you do all day long is really what matters. So I hope this helped.